And What's New to BGA brings you Pioneer Days, a dice combo with a little bit of drafting. This one here is rated 7.2, has over 2,000 votes, voted best with 2 or 4. BGA says it'll take 36 minutes to play real time. Now this is one of the games that I think will play very well turn-based. There are a total of 20 turns that you will take, and usually games that have not so many turns, in my opinion, play well turn-based. So I think this is a good one to check out turn-based if that's the type of player you are, which is the type of player I usually am. The game is played over 4 rounds, and each of those rounds is called a week, and there are 5 turns in each round, and those are the days. So the first thing we're going to do is set the bag up of dice. It's always the number of players plus 1 of each type of dice. Then we're going to set up the towns here. You add 2 with the exception of the last week. You'll have 3. Anything left here will get discarded at the beginning of next week. Same thing with the equipment here. Discard any that was left from last week and then add 1 plus the number of players. Then you'll see we'll draw a new character down here for each of these. At the beginning of each day, you'll draw dice for the number of players plus 1. So here, 2-player game, we have 3 different dice. And each player, starting with the lead player, is going to take 1 dice, do something with it, and then the next player go, and so on. So what you first do is grab a dice. So if I was to grab this medicine here, then you would check to see if you had any tools in your wagon that would give you additional resources or abilities. In this case, if I had this tool in my wagon, I would gain an extra cattle for free. You can see the icon right here is what activates. And this little green question mark here kind of shows you what all the equipment can do. But since we both have no equipment, we'll skip that phase until we actually get equipment. You can at any time pay $3 to change the dice to a different face. And then you're going to place the dice. Since I picked medicine, you'll see here I have 3 different options. The first is the easiest. You just take money. Then you have in the middle, this is where you're going to take your resources based on the dice. So in this case, I'd take a medicine. Or lastly, you can always take the townsfolk below. When you grab townfolks, they all have some kind of ability. Some act right away, some are later, some are at the beginning of the rounds. But all of them will have points at the bottom. So here, this one gives you 1 victory point per gold token, and so on. The rest of the dice, this one here, the gesture, allows you to use it as any. It's the wild, so you can come down here. You can take the $1, the person or townsfolk below the Joker icon, and any of the other actions to the right. So you see you can mine, equip, and you see these 2 are highlighted: take, get cattle, wood, and then medicine. Notice you cannot take townfolks below them or money. So it's just a wild for the center actions. The second one here is to draw 1 gold token from the bag and put it face down in a spot in your wagon. When you do mine for gold, you'll get tokens. You draw 1. It could have 1 or 2 nuggets on it for final scoring. Your wagon is limited on capacity. You see 2 of 6 here. You can get additional wagons. It's a free action at the end of your turn. For the most part, everything is 1 item equals 1 capacity, with the exception of wood and medicine. Both of those, it takes 2 pieces for 1 spot. So each spot of your wagon can hold 2 wood or 2 medicine. The third action here, equip. This is where you go here and gain 1 of the equipment. The fourth is cattle, so you just gain a cattle. The 5th is wood, and lastly the 6th is medicine. And that's the action I'm going to take. So I gain medicine, and it goes there, and then I have extra actions, but I have nothing to do, and I end my turn. Now, after my opponent takes his dice, there's going to be 1 colored dice left. What you do with that is, depending on the color, you move up the tracks here. These are the disaster tracks. So there was a red dice left, therefore we move it up on the red track. You'll notice there is a black dice. If the black dice is ever left at the end, you move each track 1 space. When the discs get to this end spot here, you do the actions here. Storms, you have to pay 1 wood for each wagon. If you don't have enough money, you place a damage token for each one you cannot pay for, and that's worth -2 at the end of the game. When your wagon takes damage, not only do you lose 2 points, but notice you also lose 2 storage spots, which could cause you to discard goods. Raid, you lose half your money or your silver rounded up. Famine, you have to pay 1 silver for each cattle. If you cannot, they are discarded. And then lastly, disease. You have to pay 1 medicine for each townfolks. Those who you cannot pay for are discarded. For the disease, notice that your standard pioneer here one of your townsfolks is immune from the disease. So if I had 3 townsfolks, I'd only have to pay 2 medicine to protect them because your pioneer protects 1. This is for the base game only. It is possible to get a different pioneer in a more advanced play. At the end of each day, you can buy a wagon, a small or a large one. So I'll buy a small wagon here, and you see I have another additional wagon here, and my capacity went up 4. A large wagon can hold 6, and a small wagon can hold 4. So at the end of the week, it's important to check to see if possibly you might have some effects you have to resolve on your townsfolks. You do score 1 victory point for every cattle, so this is at the end of every week. And then you check to see if you can resolve any face-up town card effects. Alright, so it's the end of the week. Now I can visit. You see here the 2 towns here. So this first town, if I have 1 cattle, I get 1 favor and 3 silver, so I'll do that. I hit visit, and I got my favor. My opponent will do the same. And then here, I do not have 8 silver, so I cannot visit this town. But my opponent was able to. So you see here, I have 1 favor, where there were 2 victory points, and my opponent has 3 of them, which are worth 2 as well. And then lastly, one important thing, after the 4th and final week of the game, you advance each disaster track 1 final time. And then you resolve any disasters triggered. And then you resolve them from top to bottom, because it is very possible to resolve many of them. It is worth pointing out, during the game, black dice might also cause multiple disasters in one go, and resolve them from top to bottom if that's the case. For final scoring, remember, don't forget to do the end of round scoring. That's resolving the effects on a card, scoring cattle, and then of course visiting the towns. For the final town, remember, you'll get 3 different options to go to. Then for your final score, you'll see this is the total number of points I scored for cattle during the game. Gold, this is the number of gold nuggets. Favor, this is the number of favor score you have. So I have 7 of them, so they're 2 points each, 14. The favor bonus is whoever has the most favor tokens. Townfolks are your score on your townfolks. Damage are the negative points, and then your final points. This one gets an 8 for me. It's pretty close to a 9, I think, but I think these all elements just work really well for me. I like drafting. I like the combo building of this. It's a lot of fun to see the towns and go, okay, we're going to do this. And then when the dice get rolled, I'm like, crap, we can't do any of that. And go from there. I had a lot of fun in that the last game I played, I was able to hoard cattle and do very well with cattle and run away with the game very quickly because of the cattle. I was able to get 3 cattle multipliers, basically 3 town folks that scored me more points for cattle. So I just had to make sure I kept those dice away. And that's the fun part about this game. I really do like how you're constantly looking at the dice, and towards the end of the game I was like, I can't afford a yellow dice to move, because if a yellow dice comes on, then I have to pay $1 for each of my cattle and I'll go bankrupt and I'll have to get rid of all of them, basically. So I really focused on keeping yellow and black dice away the last week, which hurt me a bit because I had to do non-optimal moves just to avoid the yellow or the black dice moving down and advancing that. But of course I won because I had such a big score of cattle. Definitely worth your time. Definitely go check it out if you like what you saw here. Well, I've been the Digital Board Gamer. As always, good luck and have fun.